Hi and welcome to today's video where I've got a get ready with me. I haven't done one of these in a long time, but welcome one and all. The items which really inspired me to do this has been the new Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes Nature palette, which is new to the UK, and also the newly launched Lisa Eldridge Rouge Experience in shade 191, and that is Damask. What is it called? Dreamy Damask. So you want to see how I created this look, carry on watching. I've recently bought a few items that are new and some that are just new to me and others that perhaps I haven't used. So I shall go on and show you the makeup look that I'm trying to do, and it's actually what's inspired me is this new palette from Makeup by Mario, and it is the Ethereal Eyes Nature palette which came out in the last week. It is exclusive to Sephora in the UK, although you can buy it from Mario's website in the US as well. So here it is. So this cost I think it was £69, but I did have some credit or discount online. I think I got it for £10 off. It was something that popped up. It wasn't to do with Makeup by Mario, it was more like loyalty points, if you know what I mean. So I've got this. I'll show you the contents. Now, the first one was never released in the UK. The second one I didn't like, but in the Ethereal Eyes. So here it is. Absolutely stunning. Now, I'll talk more about the palette when I get into it, but that's going to be the main, that's really what motivated that. And also that I had a tester for the Surreal Skin 2N, and this is in the natural, so it is the more recent release that came out a month or 6 weeks ago. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is prep my skin. I've actually put moisturiser on with the SPF, so I've put on my skincare, and the top layer is the Elemis Pro-Collagen Marine Cream SPF 30, and on top of that I'm going to put an Avant moisturiser, it's serum collagen primer. Now that's because it's in my project pan, but I did actually do this video yesterday, but it didn't turn out well, so this isn't going to be the first time I'm using these products, or some of them. It'll be, and I've used a few, but basically it went very dry, the foundation on the skin. So you need a lot of highly moisturised skin if you've got dry skin and you want to use that foundation. It's all I'm going to say, because I struggled yesterday, but as it was on the skin for a few hours, it did get better. So I'm going to start off actually with colour correction. So I'm going to put the box down for that. So I've got a tiny little desk that I'm working with here. So I'm going to start off with the Bobbi Brown. Unfortunately, I've been using this a few weeks now, but this was never released officially in the UK. So this one I did pick up online, but it was available through the cosmetics company in the UK, which is the clearance store, physical store for Este Lauder Group. So I have actually I did manage to pick this up, but it's not readily available. So I have a lot of veining on that eye, so I'm going to try that. And on the under eye, I'm going to use a concealer. And this is new to me. I tried it for the first time yesterday, and it is the Este Lauder, and it's the Futurist. So it's not the new double wear, or a newish one, it's the Futurist. The Futurist has more skincare in, and it is better for mature skin because it is less drying. The double wear is a non-crease formula, or minimal crease, but it is very drying. So this is 2.5C, which is darker than my skin tone, but I've picked this shade as a colour corrector. So what I'm going to do is, now I do use colour correctors. I don't tend to use concealers, so that's quite a bit there. I've taken a bit too high near the eye. Right, and I'm going to see how that gets on. So I've put quite a bit down. It is a creamy formula. Then I'm going to break out. Now, I have used this I think about 3 times actually, so this will be the 4th. So I've got a tiny pot and I will show it you. Now, I wasn't sure when I got it which version it was because it wasn't labelled, but because it does oxidise slightly and it's very runny, this is the new natural finish, because the glowy finish one, the previous iteration, is a gel which doesn't move. So I've only used a tiny bit, and I've got a brush that I used yesterday anyway, and I'm going to buff this in. But like I say, I've put a lot of moisture on my skin. I did my skincare about 25 minutes ago, and I've let that settle in. I don't have any dry patches on my skin, but it's overall quite dry is what I'm going to say. Let's put that in. There we are. It's a fairly thin, well, it is a thin formula. It spreads well. It hasn't got a lot of opacity to it. There's 2 tiny spots. So this is darker than my skin tone, but I need it to be darker to fill colour, to put some colour in, because I'm obviously very, very, very fair. And if I match my skin tone, I would look like a ghost, I'm afraid. So I'm going to try this. Put a bit more onto the cheek area, a bit into the upper lid, not so much on the lower. Normally I do bring my foundation under the eye, but this is quite a drying formula, so I'm not going to do that. Now, what I will say is, after a few hours, it did start to look lovely, as probably the oils with the skin. I haven't got oily skin, but obviously your body does create some oils, and as the oils in the skin started to peek through or whatever, it did look very, very beautiful in the end, but not so on initial application, which is a bit of a shame. There, so I've left that in. So yeah, what I'm doing is just doing a little bit of a blend. I don't want anything cakey, but because I've got a lot of purple under the eye, although this is darker than my skin tone, it seems to work well because it masks. It's better at masking the under eye discoloration. That's lovely. Yes, I'm very pleased with that. So there it is. Has done a very good job. And I've always got hairs on my face because my little dog, I'm sure, floating in the air. So here, yes, I'm always, it does annoy me if I get any hair on the face. Anyway, so this is the foundation and corrector. So I'm going to put a bit more colour into the face, and for that I'm going to pick up a fairly new brush. It's one I got from Amazon, and it's like a paw, a kitten paw. So yeah, I am pleased with the Futurist, because it is quite fine and lovely for my under eyes, delicate under eye area. I'm going to put the lid cap back on the foundation, so you only need a small amount, I would say. Then I'm going to use the Westman Atelier, and this is the Contour, the Sculpt and Contour wand in Biscuit, which is their pale shade for contouring. So I don't particularly need a contour because my cheeks are fairly prominent, but my cheekbones, I'll put a little bit there. So this one is quite a stiff cream, I would say. You could draw it on the face. I'd be just concerned because it's a dry cream formula that it would pull the makeup off underneath. So I'm just going to do that there. There it is. So I hope you're having a lovely day. Perhaps you're getting ready with me, or perhaps you want to save this video until you are getting ready. That would be lovely as well. So let me just see, are the two the same? Yes, more or less. So that is just to add a bit of definition there. I'll use other products at other areas of my face. So that's where we're at the moment. I will actually use, I think I'll go in, oh, they're all falling all over the place. I'm going to go in, I'm just going to bend down and pick up a brush. So I'm working on the world's smallest table, I think. I'm going to go in with the Natasha Denona Glam, which Glam Face Palette, which I got recently in an advent calendar, which is still available. It's the glossy box. So I'm going to go into the, it's like a terracotta pink, quite a stiff cream. And I'm going to put that on there. I'm going to blend it out. And up. That one is much more stronger on there. Because it does take a lot of building up this product. Normally, so I did put quite a bit on my brush. There we are. And there we are. So that's that one. So yeah, normally it's difficult to actually get anything other than very light colour coverage. So what I'm going to do is correct, because it is a bit brighter than I would like. So I'm going to load some foundation on top. So that's how I'm going to do there. That's it. And then push back up. That is lovely. And I might even go back in with the other brush if I can find it now. It's unfortunate for filming. I do have a very big table. It's not, it's very heavy from IKEA, very heavy, and it takes up an awful lot of room. So I'm going to stick for this at the moment. What I probably need is another small one at the side. I'm just going to go back in with a contour and lay that down. I did load my brush a bit too much with cream, blusher cream. That's about the same on both now. So that's the base. Now I'm going to set, and what I'm going to do is, before I do that actually, I'm going to use, and it's going to be the Bobbi brown, and I'm going to get in, actually, yeah, shall I use the corrector? Yes, I'm going to use one of the corrector shades on that finger there, and I'm going to lay it down over the Rodial lid, right? And that is not to correct, it's to allow, to give some grip for the eyeshadows. So I'm going to powder it down with, this is a Real Techniques powder brush. I'm going to use Givenchy Prisme Libre powder, and this is in Satin Blanche number 2. This is the old formula. The new formula has glitter particles in and doesn't have talc, so it's not as fine. But I'm going to use the OG here, which I do keep back, but I'm going to use it for today. The only thing I strongly dislike about Real Techniques handles is they're very long, so it's not good for aging sight. So that's why a lot of my handles, I'll show you, have been cut down. So there, that looks very nice. So that is that done. Now I haven't as yet, actually I will. I was going to use my Fenty powder, but I'm going to give a slight dusting. Now this is better than it was yesterday. It was extremely drying. So all I'm saying is, if you have dry skin, which I have, you've got to prepare your skin extremely well, or it's going to look very dry. But I was doing a lot of exercise, a lot of movement yesterday, so the skin heated up, but otherwise it is not the greatest for dry skin. It would be fine for me in summer. I think that would be the best thing. I've got a tea, I'm just going to have a bit of drink of tea. So on to my eyes. So I'm going to be using the, where have I put it, the Makeup by Mario palette. I had it, where are you? There it is. The Makeup by Mario palette. Here. Now what I will say, I ordered this when it came live, which is the early hours of the 16th. It came late on the 17th, and there was an underfill in one of the eyeshadows, which is it would be the favourite, my favourite one, the green, that one there. So there is an underfill. I did contact Sephora, but it took several days for them to come back to me, and they said it was within their tolerances, or the words there about it, that it was of saleable, merchandisable quality, but if I was unhappy, that they would exchange or refund. So I looked at other videos, and there was a number, not necessarily those in the US, that did have underfill, and of them the two most common ones were those two, and sometimes in the same palette you'd have more than one underfill. So I thought, well, I would be taking a risk. I might get one that is not as good. What I will say is that the packaging is really good acrylic. It's very heavy. It looks pretty, but the way the pans are filled is uneven. They're not even level. There's undulations in some of them. So the actual manufacturing quality of the colours isn't particularly good, is what I would say, when compared with a lot of other brands. But in terms of the quality, I've really not had much time to play with it. I've been enjoying it up to now. Now what I will say is there are at least 5 mattes and a matte with a satin sparkly. It's not a true satin because it's not as smooth, but it's a matte with some sparkles in, and that is a pale pinkyish buttermilk sort of with buttermilk with a bit of pink in. And then there are 6 of the ethereal type shades. Now I haven't had the previous palettes, but what I will say is people are complaining about the pigment on the lids, it doesn't show up. These are ethereal toppers. None of these are true pigmented eyeshadows. They are eyeshadows, but the toppers, every single one. Now this one here, which some have said is a purple, isn't. It's a burgundy, and it has the most base, and the base is a brownish colour, so it can pull maroon, if you know what that colour is. It's a brown with a bit of red in, so it's on the top it's burgundy, on the bottom it does pull a bit maroon. But all of these are fairly sheer washes, and I believe they're to be used as a topper, which I love, because many years ago I used to use Dior. I'm going to, I think, what shall I use? I'm going to use this one in the crease, that shade here. It's like a camel colour. Dior had them many years ago, and I had a quint that had a white with all different sparkles in, utterly stunning, and it had no base, and it was lovely. And of course I eventually used it all up, but yeah, this is a very nice formula, the mattes, not too pigmented, but buildable. So Urban Decay brought out their I'm not sure what the range was, Music Moon Dust, and yeah, that is very similar. And the ones that are currently similar to this is Suku, which is quite an expensive brand from Japan. They have toppers that are utterly stunning, just like these. So I think there's a misunderstanding about what these shades are. You could try and build them up by putting a base. I've got a bit of a cream on, but I am not going to be building this up. It's just to give a bit of adhesion. So this is a very soft look that I'm going through today. Very soft and natural. I don't need to tuck in a bit of a darker shade. I'll leave it for now. I'm going to keep it very simple. Yeah. So I've just got it into the crease. There, that's that one. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get a clean finger. Now obviously there are some natural oils on the finger, and I'm going to lightly touch this shade. I've got a tiny bit on, and I'm going to work that onto the lid. Because the concealer, although I've lightly powdered, should have a bit of cream underneath to help it to stick. And it is doing. And I'm not getting any fallout doing it this way. If you use a brush, you might get fallout. I know a lot of people have commented about that, but I'm not getting any. But it is a wash. All it is a wash of green. There's also, it's olive green with a bit of gold in, and there are other colour flecks in. It's like a multicoloured. I wish you could see it. Now, on the camera it isn't going to pick it up, but in person, this is stunning. It's a stunning wash of colour, is all I can say. Absolutely love it. But it's very, very ethereal. Now, if you wanted to build up, you could put a darker colour on and put this on top, which I'll probably do another time. But this is stunning. It's got a touch of green. So I was going to leave it at that, but I think what I'll do is I will then, using a finger, another finger, I'm going to put the mattest shade with a bit of sparkle onto the brow bone. This is quite lovely. It is a bit of a dry formula, this one, and that's probably why they put the sparkly bits in, but it is stunning, absolutely stunning. So again, it's a very light wash of colour. It's even lighter than I normally would go for by day, but I think it's beautiful. So I'm very delighted with these shades. Then I'm going to move on to my, what shall I do? Should we do my eyeliner or brow? Well, the brows come to the hand first. I'm going to use the brow. This is Mina, and it is the brow pen in 554, which I think is a dark blonde. They have 3 blondes. Now, they no longer sell it direct in the UK, well, they were through Superdrug, but I'll leave the details of the products in the description box. That's what I'm going to do. I'll go through them all. So this is quite a bit darker than my hair colour, and I normally wouldn't go as dark, but with a very light hand it's not going to appear as dark as it is there. But I do like it because I've gone through one of these before in a blonde, I think it was their second lightest, the one below this, and that was nice. And they had a very pale yellow one, but it's not available in the UK at the moment. I'm not sure you can order direct from Mina of Spain. So there, that's done. And I don't have very much brows to play with, to be honest. And the next item I'm going to use is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Wax Gel. So I've got this in a mini. So what I do is I use the brush end, and I pull out a little, put it on my hand, leave the rest there. I don't like contaminating it, but I do wash the spoolie. I do clean it every time I use it, so it doesn't have product that's going to stay in it. Even though I do my brows every day, do my makeup every day, I don't like the idea of contaminating the product. So any I don't use, I discover I put a tiny amount on, so I will get it all used. And then what I do is I run it backwards through the hair to get into the root and then forward. But the only thing is, this picks up a lot of hairs that you wouldn't believe you had. So it isn't particularly good for precision brows, because that's not what I'm doing. It's just to get an overall wash of colour. So there, 2 brows. I actually do like this formula because I think it does. I have very short, very light weight. They're not heavy brow hairs, but I do like the Anastasia wax. I do like that. I don't like the Benefit Clear Gel 24-hour set. It does nothing for me. So that's all that done. Then I'm going to look for an eyeliner. So what I'm going to use is a Scandalized by Rimmel. So this is a UK brand, and this is in copper. I will put it on my, it's actually a brown, a taupe brown with a bit of gold reflected. So I thought that would be lovely. I could have gone for a green eyeliner, but I think there's a bit of element of green within this. And I just put it very near the lash line, on the outer 2/3. There it is. Very, very creamy. So I'm just hoping it doesn't transfer. If it does, what I would normally do, if I thought it was at risk, is put, in fact I might show you, I'd put a bit of powder to set it down. So I'd get a bit of the setting powder. It just aids it not transfer up. If my eyes got wet or it was raining, yes, then it would start to transfer, I suppose. But there it is. Now, I haven't done any bronzing, so I'm going to do this now. I normally would bronze before I do my eyes, but I'm going to try and get, where's the bronzer? There it is. That's the brush. So I'm going to be using the Laura Geller, and this is the Bake Bronze and Brighten in Fair. This is the jumbo size. That's what it looks like. So I swirl my brush around into all the colours, and then what I do is I put them to the perimeter. So this is a cool toned bronzer. It's got a lot of pink in it. All of the Laura Geller ones do, because I've tried the medium. This is the fair, and the medium is very, very similar. And it is to mimic the sun. If your skin caught the sun. So there's that one. So that is very nice. And to neutralise it a bit, to take away some of the pink, I have got the Tom Ford bronzer in Terra, which seems to be the only one available in the UK in this sort of format. It was supposed to be being discontinued a year or so ago, and I got it earlier on this year, but it was some various YouTubers from the US of A said it was being discontinued, but it hasn't been at all. So yeah, we can get this. There it is. So that is very nice. A bit of an old-fashioned formula, I would say, but I'm still getting quite a fair bit of use from that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a setting spray. So, or shall I put my highlighter on first? I'll put my highlighter on first. So I've got this, which is from, it's a glass highlighter in Champagne from Rodial. So I've got a bit on the back of the hand there. And what I do is heat it up, and I just tap it near the top, but not on the top of my cheeks, because I've actually got wrinkles from under the eyes at that point. So there, just a tiny, tiny bit. That's it. And then what I'm going to do is get another eyeliner, which is L'Oreal Infallible, and that is their white liner. Oh, but it's obviously a fair skinned skin tone, but going in the waterline. So that before I put my mascara on, I'm going to, I don't know whether this is going to survive, I've got the Morphe continuous setting mist. Oops, and the lid, the top has come off. It's done. That's the only problem. I think they've got faulty tops. Oh, it's going to really wet my face because it's on its last legs. Anyway, I think this may be I've been using this for over 3 weeks, and it's been on its last legs, but it's still going strong. And I had the option of the Charlotte Tilbury, which I haven't used, haven't needed to use. And the final thing I'm going to do is my mascara. So what I've got here is the Max Factor False Lash Effect, and this is a primer in blue. Now, to me, it's a lot of faff. I'll show it you. It does very little. Now, you can get it to work as it should, but it takes about 10 minutes of finessing it, and I'm not joking, because you have to let it dry down and then build the layers up, because it does virtually nothing on its first pass. So to me, I prefer the L'Oreal. At the moment anyway, the Lash Paradise. I know the formulas can change as they dry out and maybe it will get better. It's a bit wet, but even so, it doesn't want to really adhere that well. And surely that's what you want on a good base. So I'm just going through 1 or 2 little coats. It's because I've got very thin, dry, short lashes, and the only positive is that they curl. So I've now got Rollerlash from Mini, a travel Mini from Benefit, and I never really liked this. I think because it is to curl lashes and I've already got that curl, but I tried it on yesterday and I really enjoyed it. Because I've just finished my previous one, Bad Girl Bang, and I really enjoyed that one. So I tend to pull the lashes back and forth through. The only thing you can catch the lid, because the ones are always too big for me. But I do prefer nylon or silicone ones to bristles that look like real hair. I don't use real hair, but I don't find them as good for me. So I'm always pleased when it's an unusual type wand, and I prefer a tiny wand. I know MAC do a tiny one, Clinique do, but I think they're specifically for the lower lash line. And yeah, so this is taking a while to build up, particularly this side. I've got very little coated. And I mean, eyelashes are growing because I've been using a serum on at them. I used the Ordinary, that was very good in a white tube, and I'm actually using at the moment Kiko, but they're not using prostaglandins, which is what really works, but they can cause a lot of irritation, and they have I think a quite high risk of changing eyes to brown. So if you've got brown eyes, you're fine. If you haven't, unless you want brown eyes, I wouldn't recommend taking the risk, because it's not reversible. There we go. They're not easily reversible. So there we go. So that's that. Now the final item I wanted to show you, or 2 items, are for lips. So I've actually got here a is it Maybelline Colour Sensational. So this one is in Dusty Rose. So this is very similar to the lipstick that I'm going to be wearing. It is good. So go slightly outside a natural line. I don't go into the corners of the mouth because I've got a down-turned mouth. So, and it was Lisa Eldridge who put me onto that. And this Lash Sensational, it does dry down well, but it starts off very, very creamy, but it does eventually set. So as for lipstick, I've got a new lipstick. So this is the Lisa Eldridge, and it's a new shade, but it is a permanent shade. It's Dreamy Damask 191. So what I've got here is, this is it. It's supposed to be a cool tone pink. On me, it's a, can you see it's not a cool tone on me? I'd say it's a neutral pink. And it's in the Rouge Experience. There is no, what I'm going to say is that this is different to the 2 other Rouge Experience lipsticks that I have. This is creamier and it is more sheerer and it's more spreadable on the lips. There's more, yeah, you can move it around a little easier, which would be good or could be bad. I particularly prefer it. I think it's more moisturising and it is more shiny. So there has been some tweaking of the formula between last year and this year, but I do like all of them, and I do love this shade because a lot of pinks run warm and I wanted a neutral to cool tone, and this is lovely. In the sunlight it's looking a bit cooler, but yes, it's a lovely, lovely shade. So that's my current makeup for today. So there is a bit of green. I've tried to tie it in a little bit. So anyway, let me know your thoughts down below. I would like to say to everyone, thank you very much for watching, as I do appreciate that your time is valuable. Hopefully I shall see you soon in another video. I do have 50 Shades of Black project pan to film soon. Otherwise, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and week, and I hope you are doing well. But please do take care of yourselves. See you soon, and bye for now.